This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
Becky Lynch is going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
Welcome to the WWE Podcast Mailbag. It's Wednesday, November 8th, 2023. And we're going to get to the patrons' email in just a minute. As you guys know, patrons are a special part of this podcast because they get priority placement in this show. And if you want to be a patron, you can get that privilege too by heading on over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. And speaking of patrons, I want to welcome Martin Miller, who has just joined us here on the SmackDown tier. So thank you so much, Martin. I hope you enjoy your exclusive podcast that you get every single week and everything ad-free. That's all available to you. All right. So let's start with, speaking of, those patrons. And let's start with Frank. And Frank says, let me talk to you. A couple of questions. Rants for you since Ric Flair is AEW now. Do you think WWE will push John Cena to break the record and get 17 titles? I mean, probably not. I think they will probably have Charlotte Flair do it before John Cena. I honestly don't know if John Cena will ever have another run again. And to do it just so that, because Ric Flair's on AEW now and probably is going to crazily have one more match in AEW, I mean, that'd be kind of petty. There's nothing left to prove for John Cena, and I think it would be viewed as that. It'd be viewed exactly as that, where, you know, you're doing this simply because of spite or something, and that's not a good look. You want somebody to break Ric Flair's record that is deserving and not done out of just kind of novelty. And at this point, John Cena is novelty. He's not a full-time competitor. He's probably got a few matches left in him and he's done. All right. Second thing, why do you think WWE is denying Bob Backlund's title reign? It's the second longest one, and I finally think you should have LA Knight versus. Oh, okay. So denying Bob Backlund's title reign. Well, I don't know. I mean, so as we look at the longest WWE title reigns in history, I think that there's got to be a reason. And I don't know if Bob Backlund... Let me look at the list here. So the longest run right now is, of course, held by Bruno Sammartino. Bruno Sammartino is at 2,803 days. Okay. That is his number one. Of course, Bruno Sammartino also competes with himself at number 3. Bruno Sammartino's reign of 1,237 days is most certainly going to be crushed by Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns is at 1,164 days. Now, I don't know why Bob Backlund's not on here. Maybe Bob Backlund, I'm looking at the top 4. And if you can show me where Bob Backlund has a longer title reign that's not being recognized by WWE, I'd love to see it. You know, but looks like Roman Reigns is definitely going to surpass Bruno's second longest run. So Roman Reigns is going to be number 3. At that point, once Roman Reigns gets another 60 to 70 days under his belt, which is another couple months, which will easily put him at Royal Rumble time, and he's already slated to be defending his belt at the Rumble. I don't know who he's going to face, but that's the plan. He's automatically going to get to Bruno's, which really annoys me about Roman's run. And one of the biggest things is he's just artificially inflating his run by hundreds and hundreds of days here. So we'll get to number 3. Now, Hulk Hogan's pretty close. Hulk Hogan is 1,474. So when you get to 1,474, that puts you from 1237. You're looking at another 240 days, roughly. It's another long time. That puts you into deep next year. Okay. that, it puts you into the late summer, fall of next year. So it's very conceivable they get there, especially on the pace Roman's going. He's only going to have to defend his belt like 3 more times to get to Hulk Hogan's record, right? Now, people have asked me, I know this wasn't your question, Frank, but you've sent me on a deep rabbit hole of this Roman run. Let's be honest with each other. Roman is probably going to beat Hulk Hogan. That means Roman Reigns will be the second longest running champion of all time in WWE. Hell of an achievement. But then you look at number 1. And number 1 is so far away that I don't think they're actually going to do it. Because you would have to double Hulk Hogan's run to get to Bruno Sammartino. Double. Okay? That means several more years of Roman as champion. What, like 3 more years as champion? You would have to almost another 4 years as Roman as champion. That is not going to ever happen. I think Bruno Sammartino's record is intact, but I do think they will have him surpass Hulk Hogan. That's my guess. Bruno is just so far and away the record holder that I don't think it'll ever be touched. But Hulk Hogan can probably say goodbye, and Bruno Sammartino's second longest run can certainly say goodbye. So in the end, Roman Reigns will probably be looked at as the second longest reigning champion of all time. Finally, I think they should have LA Knight versus Cody Rhodes for the number 1 contender for Roman's belt and do it at WrestleMania 40. Congratulations on your 3 years. Thanks, Frank. So, yeah, sure. LA Knight versus Roman Reigns, or LA Knight versus Cody Rhodes. But here's the thing. Cody Rhodes is going to win that. And Cody Rhodes, if he faces Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, has a very strong chance of winning that match. Okay. Frank, all right, let's get to your second one here. You said that I forgot to mention this. They should have War Games and the winner gets the Money in the Bank case. I don't know if I would do that. Because then you are mixing PLEs. I don't know if I would do that. The only time I would ever have anybody transfer the briefcase to somebody is if someone else wins it. Like when Otis transferred it to The Miz because he lost a match. That's okay with me. I think that was in 2020. If the wrestler decides on their own to make that a stipulation, or if they're coerced into putting their briefcase on the line, sure. But I don't think it should be just built in as part of the fabric of what the War Games match is. And finally, Solo needs to beat all competitors that lost to Roman, then face Roman at WrestleMania. I don't know if there's actually any interest right now in turning Solo babyface to face Roman. There certainly is going to be down the line some interest in that. I don't think it's right now, though. Thanks, Frank. Let's get to Mr. Whisper in the Wind. Let's go. He says, "What's good, Maddie? Just want to..." That's so... Yeah, I have to say... Former girlfriends used to call me Maddie, so that's kind of weird. I haven't had anyone call me that in a while. Anyway, just wanted to send prayers to all the families suffering to the shootings in Lewiston, Maine. Yeah, that's it's just crazy, man. It's nuts. It's nuts. I mean, even no matter where you are, it's just you have to kind of always look over your shoulder, and it's nuts. I won't say any more than that, but. I'm pretty disappointed in Crown Jewel, as I know you are too. No surprise in the main event ending. Same storyline on how he wins. Wasn't much build for LA Knight, but at least they got him in the conversation of being a part of title matches going forward. Yeah, but here's the thing. We all, as fans, we felt it was still too early. Even it's weird because we all wanted LA Knight in that position. We just didn't want him in it that early because, number one, I think most fans were willing to wait and go along with the ride. But also, right off the bat, if LA Knight's this early in Roman's return, the first one in the line, he's not going to win. There's no chance. But... let's see. War Games is upon us, and yet the rules of the War Games are still confusing. Am I interested in seeing how Cody and Seth coexist? Or you are interested. So yeah, that's going to be interesting how Cody and Seth coexist. And they've been trying to face one another for the last several months. If you remember, each coming off their own programs, they keep trying to connect with one another to finish whatever they're going to finish. Part 4, I believe. And they keep getting interrupted. So they're going to revisit each other. And it's going to be interesting to see when they finally do connect, Cody and Seth, who plays the heel, who plays the babyface in that one, because I think both make a strong case to remain babyface. I hope we are close to the end for Damian cashing in. Extremely disappointed they didn't have more involvement during the Seth Drew match. I'm assuming if they make it 5v5, maybe Drew will join Judgment Day or originally join Seth's team and then go full heel during the match and then join Judgment Day. But again, him not joining doesn't make any sense with Damian lurking the title. What are your theories going forward? Much love to the podcast. So thanks, buddy. And so here is the deal. Drew will have a say in this match. I do believe that. I think he will be opposing the Judgment Day, but ultimately join them at the end of the match. Even though I don't want Drew in a group, which is weird to say, I don't want Drew in a group because he's much better solo. I think he gets kind of drowned out in a group. He doesn't play well with others. He feels like he should be alone. You still could have him turn heel here. Absolutely. I think we're seeing Drew turn heel. It's just a slow, painful evolution to it, but it's happening. And I think things are going to take a major step forward at Survivor Series. Thank you. And let's get to another patron here, Braden. And he says, good day. Braden here. See what I did there? Good day from Australia. Been a long time since I've wrote anything because you know how life gets in the way. But I've been listening every week anyway, and I just saw an article where it's been rumored that WrestleMania 40 could very well be Roman Reigns' last match for WWE, and that Roman's body is not strong enough to wrestle because the scars of the cancer are still there. It could also be the main reason he is often a part-timer for now. From what I'm hearing, WWE is planning to make the match between Cody and Roman as an I Quit match, and will give a bright light to Cody to become the new face of the company. I know you have strong opinions about Cody's character, but what are your thoughts? I mean, look, Cody Rhodes, it's no secret, probably the worst kept secret in the world on this show, that I despise Cody's babyface character. Everything it stands for is phony. It feels very political. You guys know the rigmarole. I think it's just some of the worst things he's ever said ever. I mean, even worse than Suffer and Succotash when he told us he's here to make us happy. That was one of the worst things I've ever heard a babyface say ever. But all that aside, I can put my personal feelings aside to actually not care if Cody wins at WrestleMania, because I would rather have the championship more, visible than in hiding with Roman Reigns, like it's been for the better part of 3 years. I'm willing to. Now, I won't be cheering for Cody. I still don't want him as the champion. But given the lesser of two evils, I would allow it because of the fact that it's just worth the sacrifice of the championship actually being visible for so many things, so many reasons other than just Cody's benefit to all the other wrestlers who actually get to talk about it, again and pretend it exists again. So I've heard that rumor too, that it could be Roman Reigns' last match for a while and his body's not strong enough. He could very well have cancer, and we don't know. I mean, we didn't know the first time around until he revealed it to us. So it's very possible he has some lingering effects. We don't know his personal health, and I don't know if we ever really will know everything about his personal health. But if cancer is obviously a problem, then, I mean, that takes priority over it. That's real life, man, right? Like, I hope Joe Anoa'i, the man, Roman Reigns, actually does what, of course, is best for him. And it could probably be a part of the reason why he's on the schedule he is. And at first it worked out nicely because, great, you get to maintain your health. You get home, spend time with your family and your wife and your kids. And also, it feels special when you're here. It's more important when you're here. You're not overexposed. And it's funny, now it's overexposure is so far from the problem. It's just non-exposure. Like, you're not being exposed at all, But if that's true, I could see Cody winning, and he probably should win for the benefit of the entire company, really. And I don't know if Roman will say I quit. Maybe he does. And yeah, I've heard that too. Right now, Cody's the front runner to face Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. I don't believe that Cody's going to win the Rumble, though. I still believe that LA Knight could win the Rumble and then choose to face Seth Rollins at WrestleMania, or Drew McIntyre if he's champion. And then on the SmackDown side of things, somehow there'll be a massive trade. Cody will challenge Roman, and then we'll get Cody Roman Part 2 that way. So that's just my guess. All right. Thank you, Braden. And let's get to DJ Kuzmo. And DJ says, Hey AEW and WWE podcast world, it's DJ Kuzmo, back at it again. And the new United States champion, Logan Paul. At first, I didn't think this was possible, that Creative would have Ray drop the title as soon as Crown Jewel. He only held the title for 2.5 months. I thought the title change might have happened at Survivor Series. But anyway, it'll be interesting to see who will be Logan's new challenger since he's a free agent and not assigned to any specific brand. And yeah, I totally understand that by default the U.S. champion is on SmackDown. But since he and Ricochet haven't had a part 2 to their SummerSlam encounter, it's possible that with only 2 weeks left till Survivor Series, that Creative books this match, even though Ricochet's on the Raw roster. It's very possible. Yeah, I don't know if WWE is going to take what's going to take precedent to them, whether it's Logan Paul being the free agent or that the U.S. Championship is locked in on SmackDown. I'd imagine whatever benefits them more creatively and allows them more flexibility is what they're going to do, which means, sure, you could have Logan Paul on Raw and go face-to-face again with Ricochet. They had a heck of a program. Probably Ricochet's best program that he's ever had. And it was the YouTube star. Imagine that. One last thing to add about Logan Paul is the fact that he used the brass knuckles to get the victory in both matches against Ray and in his SummerSlam match against Ricochet, without the referee knowing about it. I just hope that Creative in the future keeps booking Logan Paul heel, since the crowd boos him not for the character that he is, but for the person that he is outside the ring, which to my estimation is the marking of a solid heel or just another annoying D-bag. That's all for now. DJ Kuzmo signing off. Yeah, this is yeah, that's very right. I mean, like, Logan Paul belongs a heel. He eventually could be turned babyface, but he is a natural heel. He fits it. He feels very comfortable. And I think they will keep that moving forward for the time being. All right. Thank you, DJ. Let's talk to another patron, Efren. And he says, hello again. So when War Games match is set with Judgment Day versus Team Rollins at Survivor Series, I feel like the teams are not fully set yet. Do you think this is where we will see heel Drew team up with Judgment Day, or the final member of Team Rollins be Randy Orton? What do you think? Me and my boys love the show and can't wait to hear your response. Well, Efren, I don't know. So you're right. Both teams, if you're doing 5-on-5, are missing a partner. Absolutely. And there's several ways they could go with this. Drew could be the mystery fifth person for Judgment Day. He could actually be with Rollins and with Cody and with Sammy right on that side. He could and then turn on them. But then who's Judgment Day's fifth? And also Randy Orton. From my understanding, Randy Orton's going to be... Now, don't take this for in stone where, oh, you're wrong, it didn't happen. This is just what I've heard through all the sites, same sites we're all looking at. Randy Orton could return as soon as this Friday's SmackDown. Because Roman's going to be out apparently until the Rumble, so they're trying to soften the blow and distract us with Randy Orton. So if that's the case, then Randy Orton on SmackDown in War Games doesn't make sense because it looks like the War Games is only happening from Raw. So if that's the case, then Randy Orton's not there, but we'll see. It's really hard telling, not knowing, as they say. I think Randy Orton could be the mystery fifth partner with Cody and Seth Rollins' team, and Drew's on the other opposing side. That would be the most interesting to me. Would be Randy filling out the babyface side and Drew being the fifth person for the Judgment Day. That would be my guess. But there's several ways to go on this. And we'll all know probably in about a week. Because after this Friday's SmackDown and then Monday, we'll probably get more hints as to who's going to be placed where, with the final two members on each side being at least hinted at. So, thank you, Efren. Thanks for being a patron, by the way. And another patron, Anthony. Boy, all you patrons are very active this week. I love it. So Anthony says, good morning from California. There's no such thing as a finisher. The word finisher needs to be removed from the lexicon of wrestling speak. All we have are signature moves. Stunners, DDTs, crossroads, good God kicks. They get handed out like Oprah handing out cars. You get a super kick, you get a super kick, you get a super kick. Crown jewel. Yeah, well, first of all, yes, I agree. The idea, here's the thing. The announcers don't even call them finish moves. I mean, they don't use that. Fans do. But finish moves need to be exactly that. Until they start re-educating fans that finishers, actually finish matches, then I have no interest in hearing finishes. I agree. Crown Jewel was a solid B for me. Nothing too crazy or surprising. I agree with you that and DeMarco that all the storylines had little to no advancement. All anyone needs to know about Logan Paul as a man was shown in the split-second decision he made to catch Ray. If only he could be a full-timer for a year-long program, the things he could do. Watching Cena get beat down was sad and unnecessary. And I know he wants to give back, but wow, there has to be a limit. On a side note, with everything we have going on in the world, we have Western culture being attended and cheered for in Saudi Arabia without incident. Kind of a hopeful moment. Keep up the good work and talk to you next week. Thanks, Anthony. The Cena moment, I'll comment on that. You guys you collectively, listeners, and some of my co-hosts, are starting to make me kind of rethink how I view this run of Cena the last couple of years. In that, I understand he's in the give back part of his career. I understand that he doesn't have to be here, that he could be doing any number of projects with all of the fame that he has, all the money he has. He doesn't need to be here to help the new talent. But he is. And he's helping and doing what he feels and creative feels is the best way to help advance talent. But you're right. They've actually gotten to a point now where you expect John Cena, who we're told in his ring entrance, because it wasn't asked by me. WWE didn't send out a survey. They just all of a sudden declared it one day that John Cena is the greatest of all time. And yet he's losing and losing and losing and getting his ass kicked. So it does reach a point where it's like Cena losing doesn't mean anything anymore. Where you know that he's going to lose to whoever he's in the ring with now because there's no reason for him to win. But you need a few wins under his belt to make his losses matter. And I think they've lost sight of that, especially in his last run here. Like John Cena is a little bit slower in the ring, but he's more than fine. He's still good. And on the mic, he's, of course, when he turns it on, is better than anybody. Which makes me want to see. I would shell out drain my bank account to see MJF versus John Cena in a promo battle for 15 minutes. I would, but I really do think they've actually devalued the current version of John Cena to the point where when I see him, it's nostalgic. It's cool. I like seeing him. You're appreciative of him being there, and you notice that the Cena sucks chants are gone. Because fans are like, hey, he's only here for a limited time. Let's appreciate everything he's here for and when he's here. But it's to the point where I know he's losing and his loss isn't going to help the person winning because John Cena is here to lose. And I don't want that. So I agree. Thank you, Anthony. All right. Let's see. We got another patron. And this is Freeman. Freeman. All right, buddy. Here's what I'm going to say. You got a long email. So I'll read it, okay? But we need to condense the emails. Just one or two thoughts. I really do. I appreciate the passion. Everybody's passion. I do. We're just at a point now, guys, where, we're trying to condense things to more to the point and just, give everyone a chance. It's a good problem to have, but we need to start just kind of trimming it down a bit. But let's go, Freeman. Thank you. So he says it's been a strange week. Crown Jewel seems to have been a bit of a mess. Overall decent, but nothing truly to sink our teeth into. But one thing this did was highlight to me just how outclassed Nia Jax is, and I don't think she even wants to be here. Or to be more specific, doesn't want to be here if she isn't the center of attention. Wanting the Fatal 5-Way didn't seem to me, she didn't put any effort in, and breaking up the count with the most pathetic kick was unreal to me. Agreed. Totally agree. I mean, I brought that up too in the review. It was the laziest kick I've ever seen. It was like an Orange Cassidy kick. No effort put into it. She just tapped them and they sold it. But speaking of selling, she never seems to do this at all. This was the highlight to the extreme in the Battle Royal, in which you can see everyone selling moves to give enough time to the other wrestlers for them and their moves, to get their moves in. All the time, Nia was just meandering around, lost like a 5-year-old schoolgirl looking for the next group of friends to hang out with. And when she gets to them, she was obviously being told to go away, and as she would hit a chop and then move on to the next group and do the same thing to get told no and move off again. She wasn't selling. She was patrolling, looking for an excuse to land a move to make herself look better and then move on and did it again. While every other woman in there would sell for the other, she just never would. And for me, she has no business being on the same stage as people who actually care and put the work in. But I must say, mad props to Becky for calling out both Roman's title defenses one week and Nia getting fired the next. Okay, so yes, Nia Jax does not sell. Now, the argument against that could be she's a large woman. She's the giant of the women's division. She shouldn't be selling like everyone else. So you have to take that into consideration. You know, she's not Tegan Nox, okay? She's not Alexa Bliss. She's 3 times their size. She shouldn't be. She's like the Big Show of the men's division. Of the women's division, I should say. Like, she just is. So she shouldn't be selling the same way that someone a quarter of her size is. So taking that, you need to have that perspective. But that doesn't mean she shouldn't sell at all. And she does look lost. She does look disinterested, genuinely disinterested. It's almost, she does genuinely, not wrestling character, but the person seems like she doesn't want to be here. She's annoyed to be here and that she should be the center of attention, that she should be champion. Now, is that the mindset everyone should have? That they want to be champion? Yes. But she does genuinely seem annoyed to be here. I agree. And trust me, Nia, most people, outside of a few, I know there's some of you that listen that are Nia fans. I'm not one. And nobody would shed a tear if Nia left. She's just not likable. And is that a trait of a good heel? Yeah, but as I've said, Nia Jax is the channel-changing heel at times, where you see her and you just go, I'm not even interested in her. You know what I mean? There's a difference. But hey, I know somebody out there. I know I have listeners who are Nia Jax fans, and I know who you are, and you know who I know who you are. You know that I know who you are. And hey, you're in the minority, just like I'm in the minority of the Cody Rhodes lovers. All right. Anyway, I seem to feel like ranting, and this has been on my mind for a while. Not sure how to address this in a PG way, but I'll try. If it's too un-PG for you, feel free to cut it. But for the love of God, can we make Giovanni Vinci wear trousers? I understand in wrestling, attire is just trunks, but I don't need to see a full impression of what lies beneath every single time he comes out. No other wrestler on the roster seems to have this issue, but man, every time he's out, the eye is drawn to meet it looking straight back at you. I'm not trying to be prude, but if everyone else has found a way around the issue, either doing it or on purpose, or you're overcompensating. So please, all I want for him is to wear trousers so I don't have to look at it again. Actually, I have to say, I never noticed. And now I won't be able to not notice. So thanks for ruining Giovanni Vinci for the rest of my life. Maybe he got, attire advice from Ronda Rousey. Maybe that's who he listened to when he's like, hey, I want it to be as tight and as annoying as Ronda Rousey's spandex that she has to adjust and pull on every 5 seconds. So, all right, back onto something more focused around wrestling. It seems the women's division is getting more attention now. I don't want my hopes up too much, but there are a lot of storylines going on in the women's division. We have Xia Li making her mark, the contenders matches for the tag belts, as well as organizing the next contender for the Women's World Championship, and whatever the hell is going on with Nikki Cross. But it's all on Raw. The return of Kairi Sane is interesting for SmackDown, But I get the feeling that this is just going to be a passing fleet of fancy before we get back to everything involving Charlotte. What's a fleet of fancy? Anybody know what that is? I'm gonna have to Google that. I'm gonna translate that. I'm gonna guess you're saying it's a just kind of a fad, as they say. So anyway, you think everything's going to get back to Bianca, Charlotte, and Asuka? I could be proven wrong, and they bring out some new talent, but it seems like they are pushing all the women to Raw. I think this is due to Raw being longer so they can fit more in, but I swear we only get one women's match on SmackDown every week as a token gesture, so a women's return on SmackDown doesn't have me excited. I mean, the women's division has been on a kind of a slow decline for a while. There's no lie about that. There's no denying that. They have felt, especially that since Io Sky won the championship, she has been all but forgotten. She's a side piece. She's a third wheel, whatever you want to say about her. She's just been a non-factor as champion since she cashed in. And it has been about Bianca and Asuka and Charlotte, and yet we have a champion that people should be excited about, and they're just not, because creative's not focusing on her at all. But yeah, maybe Kairi Sane will help a little bit in that respect. But, who the heck knows what Jade Cargill's going to do if she's not too busy worrying about, making sure she has the right pose and lighting in her Twitter and Instagram posts, and talking about what shirt makes her look the best and how she's here to make a bunch of money and that she's a boss babe or whatever. If she spent a little less time doing that and more time in the ring, maybe there'd be something more interesting going on in the women's division. But yeah. By the way, if you couldn't tell, I'm really not. The more and more that I see Jade Cargill on social media, the more I just am not a fan of her character. Now, if the idea is to make her heel, then she's doing a fabulous job. But if the idea is to continue to be a babyface and continue to have a sustained run as a babyface when she debuts, good luck with that. She comes across as exceptionally arrogant. And I understand she has an impressive physique, one that makes some of the men, look like they are, sitting on the couch every day eating potato chips. She's an impressive specimen, but I can't say that I am impressed with her character as a human being, if that's truly her. Maybe it's her in character, but if it's actually her as a person and not trying to be a wrestling character on social media, she's obnoxious as hell. Okay. Rant ended. I know it had nothing to do with Jade Cargill, but I made it into that. Regarding Nikki Cross, the only thing I could think that they're doing with her is setting up for an Alexa Bliss return. The two have history, and the creepy staring seems to be something straight from Bliss' storyline. With Bliss due to give birth in December, this seems way too early to start setting this up, but I can't think of anything else. I don't know how long she has maternity leave in the USA, but I wouldn't expect to see Bliss for another year. Unless she's agreed to some out-of-ring cameos, that would make sense. In which case, I wouldn't expect any payoff for this till February at the earliest. But yeah, so probably not. And long-term booking at this level is not something WWE excels at. So I'm going to say no. But I said this before on my Raw review. They probably don't even know. I can tell you right now. I bet you they don't. And it's just something for the fans to talk about. They've done this before where they just do stuff and go, we'll figure out the payoff later. This is probably one of those things. All right, couple more things. Moving on to the debacle around The Miz and Ivar, I get the feeling that this was a mistake from Ricochet, and the match was intended to be a draw. This is because it was clearly seen the ref didn't know what to do and was trying to make calls on this, I don't. No, this isn't the end. Okay. But looks like whoever's in charge got called down to announce that it was The Miz that won. And the way it was announced with the ref signaling not to announce, that leads to the way, okay, I can't even read these sentences because it's late and I think, I don't know what, okay. I know what you're saying. Let me just boil it down to, yes, I think it was a mistake too. And the ref probably got some instruction from the back is what you're saying. To just announce that the ref is calling Miz the winner. Yes, I would agree. Also, them announcing a match between Miz and Ivar for the following week seems like the original plan was to have them go one-on-one for the right to the IC title match, and having a random exhibition match announced straight after that finish is too coincidental to me. This, with how well Ivar is doing in his singles run, makes me think he was going to be pushed up for that match, but ultimately I don't think it matters as Gunther isn't dropping the belt anytime soon. Okay. Agreed. Now, I do think that was a mistake, as I said, and the evidence for that would certainly support that, because if you're having an exhibition match for the two people that you could have argued won the match, then yeah, they're probably still going to have the match without the stipulation, though. Finally, I wish to enter a discourse on my thesis of the dual partnership that is Cody and Jay and their upcoming pugilistic engagement with the convocation of similar efforts that is Damian Priest and Finn Balor of the Judgment Day. While the latter ombudsman, okay, I can't. Are you doing this on purpose? You have to be doing this on purpose. You have like a thesaurus in front of you just to piss me off. So I'll read this, but this is going to be a slaughter of grammar. Here we go. With the latter ombudsman have spasmodically pursued a career in binal competitions, I am left bewildered by the unfathomable choice to enter the two parties into another tour of duty. This is a manifestation of desire that has been ostentatious in its recitation. Thrice will showmanship be displayed, those congregating behind their television, and after this affair appeared to be reaching quiescence, we get the proclamation of another incident. I put that anastotic relationship on display would have more impact should they move to a private altercation rather than continuing to spar for the belt aggregated champions. Oh my God. It's not over. The purposeful intent of such a prize should be moved to others. History does not need to repeat itself triennally. Man, that was hard to write. Long and short of it, why are we getting another tag team match between Cody, Jay, Damian, and Finn? We have seen it too many times. Okay. Did you really put me all through that just to ask me why we're getting another tag match between Cody, Jay, and Damian and Finn? It felt like Cody Rhodes was over your shoulder, trying to give you big words to say to sound smart. Instead of just using plain language, it's exactly what that felt like. So damn you, Cody Rhodes. Okay. Thanks, Freeman. Whew. All right. Patron. Shorter email. Here we go. Chris. I'm not sure if y'all caught this. Sending this before your recap of Crown Jewel. But as Roman was entering the ring, Michael Cole said there are only two people who have held the championship longer than Roman. Cole said Bruno's second reign of 1237 and Hogan's 1474 are well within reach, but Bruno's reign of 2803 was not mentioned. Feels like they aren't discussing Bruno's first reign or pretending that it doesn't exist in order for us to believe that Roman can go to have one of the longest reigns at greater than 1474. Also, maybe this is a hint that Roman will keep the title for another 300 plus days. Thought this was a subtle way to discuss his title reign. Interested in your thoughts. Well, thanks, Chris, and thanks for being a patron. So I already talked about this a little bit. I didn't, kind of by happenstance. So sure, he only has two more people to pass, but Bruno has two of the top runs. So he could get past Bruno and past Hulk and still be number two because Bruno has two runs. So I think he'll do it. I think they can definitely get Roman another 300 days to get him past Hulk Hogan. I think that's their goal. Come hell or high water. And then after that, they're done. I think they will finally go, you know what, we're done. Mission accomplished. Now, the question, though, is if Roman faces Cody at WrestleMania 40, they have to have Roman win if that's the goal. But how do you have Cody not win at WrestleMania 40? So this is going to get a lot of fun real quick. Thank you, Chris. All right. My gosh. I think we have another patron. I think we have a couple more patrons. I told you guys, this is a lot of emails. This is why we got to keep them short. Short and sweet. All right. This is AJ from Patreon. He says, hey, been listening to the show since WrestleMania 38 and just subbed to the SmackDown Patreon tier. Well, thank you. I started watching WWE again after I heard 2K22 was good, and I got back into it after 10 to 15 years of not watching. I'm 24 and wish I could have watched Bray when he was doing the Southern Cult family stuff. Yeah, that's classic Bray. Now, that Bray Wyatt spoke in riddles that I remember getting annoyed at because he was so intriguing, but the riddle part of his character was so distracting and frustrating to me that I got a little bored of his character during the Swamp Cult Leader, as they called it. Well, he's a Southern Cult family, but I guess he's indirectly or unofficially known to wrestling fans as like the Swamp Cult Leader during that era. Okay, one thing I've noticed since coming back is that every Roman match is the same, and Crown Jewel was overall kind of boring, but the main event was a snooze fest despite liking LA Knight. I also agree 100% on all the Cody points. If they face at WrestleMania 40, I hope they somehow both lose and neither get the belt. Sorry for the long email, just had some thoughts. That's not a long email, AJ. Not at all. That's a perfectly... Actually, your email is the perfect, to me, in getting everybody rolling here and keeping things going. Yours is the perfect length. But, so... glad you're back. Thank you for subbing. And yes, so Roman's matches have been the same for many years now. Well, many months. Many years is a little bit overdone. And as far as Cody, versus Roman at WrestleMania 40, which seems to be the general consensus among fans, I don't know. How do they both lose and neither get the belt, though? How does that happen? A cash in? Does Damian Priest cash in the main event? Neither win? Damian Priest wins? Possible. But that's really my best guess. And go watch some Bray Wyatt stuff. You'll enjoy it. All right. Let's get to a couple more patrons. And this is from Mitchell. And Mitch says, hey, Matt, longtime listener, first-time emailer. Got back into wrestling in the last year and traveled over to WrestleMania this year from Australia, and it was an awesome experience. I've been really enjoying your podcast and listen to them most days on the commute to work. Well, awesome. I'm glad I can be your morning wake-up. Instead of putting on actual music, apparently I am your voice of your morning commute. That's an honor. My question is regarding Roman Reigns' title run, and where do you think it will end? I think the likely scenario most seem to be is Cody Roman 2 at Mania, and Cody getting revenge. I hope this is the case, as it's starting to feel like Triple H's reign of terror where all the guys Roman beats have a fall of momentum after, and are never quite the same again. See LA Knight as a recent example of this. During the whole main event of Crown Jewel, I had an uneasy feeling, and I think what was happening was knowing LA Knight had been put in this spot too early and shouldn't have been fed to Roman Reigns yet. I only hope LA Knight bucks the trend and can still win a world title in the near future. Thanks for the time for reading my thoughts, and keep up the good work and have a great week. Well, thanks, Mitch. You as well. You're echoing my sentiments exactly, Mitch. This was way too early. And WWE, here's the thing, WWE, if they were sitting on the other side of the table, would be like, well, isn't this what you wanted? You want it, and then when we give it to you, you don't want it? Timing is the one word I would say back to them. I wouldn't even say anything else. I would just be like, timing. Because that effing matters. Doing it this early really poured cold water a little bit on his run, because you knew that WWE could just check this off the box and go, oh, see fans, we gave your little LA Knight movement a title shot against Roman. See, you got it. And now be happy and move on. No. Right? That doesn't, it counts, but it's kind of a consolation prize to us. And we want to see LA Knight as champion. I think most people, if you polled them, would want LA Knight as champion over Roman Reigns. Even maybe close to Cody Rhodes, I think. And when you have LA Knight win or lose the way he did, you can save it by saying, well, of course he had the title won, but Jimmy Uso screwed him. And now, LA Knight and Jimmy Uso are going to have some side program for a little while, right? It's like, yippee, same formula. It's the same finish we've seen with the Roman matches over and over and over. And we're all tired of it. We're just sick of it. And I want to emphasize where WWE thinks they have us where they want us, where we're just so tired of Roman being champion. It's the heat. The heat is transferred now, not to Roman as the character, because most people are smart enough to understand this is a work. Roman, of course, has some pull on what he does. I'd imagine he's a vet at this point. But WWE ultimately has the call, and the heat is on the company at this point for continuing this. It's on the company, and the problem is, they're saying to themselves, yes, fans are super angry. Even the ones that are actually angry at the company and not Roman still are going to watch. So it's just a bunch of, hoopla over nothing. And also we need to think of the bigger picture. They're looking at this through the bigger picture lens and saying, we're probably never going to get an opportunity like this again with somebody having a championship run this long to say, oh my God, we're watching history where Roman's the number 3 and now he's the number 2. He's the second longest champion of all time. We're probably never going to approach this again in our lifetimes. We have to make the most of this. And I understand that perspective, but living through this sucks. It just does. And it's screwing over also, as I've said, guys on the SmackDown roster who can't even talk about this belt or have an opportunity at it because Roman's never there. And there are very few opponents Roman has that have been outside the bloodline over the last year. So Cody and LA Knight. Since WrestleMania. That's it. Since WrestleMania, Cody's the only, or Roman Reigns and LA Knight's the only one to be outside the bloodline to face him for the belt. It's pathetic. Thanks, Mitch. Enjoy your work and drive safe. All right. Woo. We are still, guys, we've still got Patreon emails and then regular emails. This is why we need to keep them short. So another short email. Thank you, Badfish. And, thank you for being a patron. And he says, hey, WWE Podcast family, it's Badfish representing Nova Scotia. Very awesome. First things first, my daughter and I were so excited to see Kairi Sane come back at Crown Jewel, but the crowd was such a damper on it. I felt like we were the only ones excited. I think they could have done that on SmackDown and got a better reaction. Yeah. It was the worst possible place to re-debut Kairi Sane. She's probably sitting there wanting to, hide in a corner. And it was a awful place to bring her back. Even though the stage was big, the crowd overall was awful, I think. Generally awful. Now they pop for LA Knight, they pop for Cody, they pop for Roman, and all the big people, and wonderful John Cena. But they had no interest in the women's division. And there's a lot of probably political reasons behind that. I'll just leave it there. You can do your own research about Saudi Arabia's treatment of women up until recently to push propaganda. But it was a terrible place to debut her. No one even cared, or even if they did, they didn't make any noise. I think SmackDown will be a different decibel level for Kairi Sane. But yeah, I was excited to see her too. I wish that we wouldn't call her the Pirate Princess anymore. Sounds like she's an 8-year-old dressing up in Halloween or something. That sounds so like very girlish. I want her to be a woman, a pirate princess. I mean, please. She doesn't even look like a pirate nor a princess, and she certainly doesn't look like a pirate princess. So can we come up with something else for Kairi Sane? Thank you. Anyway, my question to you isn't War Games supposed to be 5-on-5? Forgive me if you discussed this already. I haven't heard the Raw review yet. If so, do you think they're going to add a teammate? I think it would be perfect time for Drew to turn heel and join Judgment Day. Have a good weekend, y'all. Well, I'm not going to rehash that. If you've already listened to this point, Badfish, you have heard it. So thank you. All right. Keep it going. Chandler, he says, let me talk to you. Thank you for being a patron. I try to be optimistic when it comes to wrestling because it's so subjective. Some things that's good to you can be terrible to others, and vice versa. But I just can't take it right now. WWE has been so bad lately. I'm going to be that guy and lose my complaints. The women's division at both shows is terrible. You have 5 big names total, but you insist on making the women and men equal and giving them 2 titles. Io Sky and Rhea Ripley are both over with the fans, but are not interesting because they have nothing going on. I wouldn't say that for Rhea. Rhea is finally coming out of her slumber from winning the title at WrestleMania and finally, defending it. There was a period of time where she just kind of held it captive like Roman, except she was there and only talked about Judgment Day business, and no woman was even challenging her for it. And no, I don't count Natalia's pathetic attempts. That doesn't count to me. But Io Sky has been, I wouldn't say Rhea, but I would say Io Sky has been very uninteresting. And on top of that, again, where are the women's tag titles? Back into obscurity. Apparently, the Isla Dawn and Alba Fire have put a curse of destruction, or invisibility rather, on these championships. Because once again, they don't exist. WTF was that trick or street fight with Natalya and Chelsea Green. I've been a wrestling fan for years, and call me a wrestling nerd all you want, but I see it as an art form. Not everyone can do it, but you come out here and make it look fake by slamming Chelsea on Candy Corner and her selling it. It makes me livid that people do stuff like this on national TV, and it's reasons like this why wrestling is a joke to everyone except wrestling fans. Yes, this is now. If you've been a wrestling fan for years, you've probably seen worse. I mean, when Vince was in charge, they had 4th of July food fights. There's been gravy bowl matches. There's the, you go back through, you can YouTube some of these clips that are the most embarrassing wrestling moments of all time. The Shockmaster, much older, of course, that was decades ago, but still hilariously awful moment. But the purposeful stuff, I mean, that was not on purpose. It was supposed to be embarrassing. Some of the stuff they do is just plain embarrassing. Anytime they do any kind of gimmick match for the holidays, it's going to be, by its very nature, secondhand, embarrassing, awful. Think about this. Would you want somebody who you've convinced to maybe watch the wrestling show with you, say, hey man, you got a buddy, and you're like, hey, you just watch Raw with me, maybe you'll like it. And you're bringing that person in, and that person has to sit with you and watch this. How embarrassing would you feel? You'd be embarrassed. Would you not? I hate this crap. And you know what? AEW is not an innocent party in this. They've done some embarrassing crap like this too. It's just, unfortunately, an illness in the wrestling industry where they do this crap that is not entertaining. It's actually disrespectful to professional wrestling. It's not funny. It doesn't serve a purpose or really serve any audience outside of those under the age of 4. And that's not exactly a core audience or a key demographic. It's the most, anybody out there that likes this stuff, I'd like to know why. It's not funny. It takes away from the product you're watching. It's secondhand embarrassment is what it is. Ugh. Okay, the amount of titles is ridiculous. There are so many titles that only a few seem important, and Seth just looks like he's playing champion. And him defending the title every night doesn't help. I could keep going, but I'm going to stop there before my head explodes. Well, please do, Chandler. Yeah, it's funny. Seth has tried to be the anti-Roman, and by being the anti-Roman, you've gone to the opposite extreme, where you've actually devalued the belt by defending it so much. And Roman doesn't defend it, so it hurts his run too. It's funny, right? They're on opposite ends, and Seth feels he's being the yin to the yang, right? And he's not. Seth Rollins, I could see Seth Rollins turning heel in the next year. I think Cody Rhodes is a bigger babyface on Raw based on the reaction. I don't know about you guys, but I don't even watch Seth's entrances anymore because I can't stand the whoa stuff. I can't listen to it anymore. I'm over it. I can't stand it. But everyone in attendance is having fun. I mean, God bless them. But it's just at home, it's unbearable to listen to now. I can deal with Cody's because his song I think is better. Just generally, it's a better song. And also the whoa is only a moment, whereas Seth's whoa is the entire song. And then the people keep singing it afterwards. And then Seth encourages it in his promos by saying, and the people of Green Bay singing my song. And everyone just, like trained seals on command start singing it. It's very tiresome. It's overdone, overplayed. So I can't listen to it anymore. And I actually think it's starting to wear a bit on my view of Seth Rollins. That said, Seth has defended his belt to the point where he'll defend it against anybody, which really devalues what the belt means, which is not everyone should get a chance at it. And they're doing it at the behest of making sure that, we don't want to make Seth look like a coward. We want to make him look like a fighting champion. But at the same time, you're making him look stupid and devaluing the belt, because if he's defending the belt all the time, he's defending something that we are told is the most important thing in life to him, and doing it to the point where he's not going to be able to defend it anymore because he's going to injure himself. And he's also allowing anyone to come in and just, you want to tweet me? Sure, I'll fight you, right? Okay, so let's see here. A couple more emails, guys, and then we'll have to wrap it up. I didn't even get to voicemails. That's how much stuff we have. That's why I'm pleading with you guys to shorten your emails just to like a couple paragraphs. And most of you have, and those that haven't, well, now you know. Please. All right. Let's see here. Let's talk to. I want to make sure I get all the patrons in. I don't see any of the patrons. If you're a patron and you emailed me, I don't see it in the subject that you're a patron. So, all right. Let's talk to David. And David says, I have to agree with you about Logan Paul. There's no reason he should be that good with just a minimum amount of time he spent in the ring. Like him or not, he has definitely put in the work and takes it seriously. I respect that. The fall-away moonsault slam on Rey Mysterio was amazing. But I'll like it to say that I saw a botch spot, and I amend Logan Paul for having the wherewithal to catch Rey out of midair. And the announcers making light of a bad situation was also a nice touch. Yeah, I mean, the spot where he literally saved Rey Mysterio's life, or at least breaking his neck, and who knows. At the same time, maybe Logan Paul wasn't in the exact position he should have been, and that situation shouldn't have existed to begin with, because Logan should have been a little closer to Rey instead of in the middle of the ring. So while Logan can be blamed for some of his positioning in the ring to be closer to Rey, he was heads up enough to understand that, this is a bad situation, and it was a momentary instant reaction in which a split second would have been the difference between Rey Mysterio in a wheelchair or worse and a save, which is exactly what he did. So even if he was partly to blame, Logan, for not being in the right position, he should still be given credit for no harm, no foul. And he was heads up enough to know that, oh my God, this is bad. Let me quick instant reaction, no hesitation. So I enjoyed Crown Jewel, but did you hear Michael Cole say that he gave John Cena the nickname of the greatest of all time? If that's true, then I think he's taking into account not only in the ring, but everything John Cena does outside of it too, from movies to countless commercials, as well as the number one name chosen for Make-A-Wish Foundation and the co-creator alongside Mr. McMahon for tribute to the troops. But I see your point that if it's only based off in-ring ethics, he's not the greatest of all time, but only one of. Yeah, I do. I will say Michael Cole, I think, is the one to say it. I just don't like, and you know what? He may be in many people's eyes, but that's something that you let fans decide who's the greatest of all time. It's like the equivalent of WWE having somebody come out and tell us who is on the Mount Rushmore, or should be on everyone's Mount Rushmore of wrestling. That's one of the most common and fun debates you can have with fans. Who's on your Mount Rushmore? Oh, I would put Hogan, Flair, Austin, and Taker. Well, I would put Triple H, Taker, Austin, Hogan. Like, you can have so many of these conversations. I don't want to be told by WWE he's the greatest of all time. All of a sudden, at this point in his career, he needs a nickname. He needs a slogan. All of a sudden, he does. Are we supposed to just take WWE's, oh, well, if WWE says he's the greatest of all time, well, I guess he is. No. That's for fans to decide. Is he one of I think indisputably he's one of, but to just declare that he's the greatest of all time every time we see him, come on. I mean, there's an argument to be made for it. Don't get me wrong. I don't think there's not an argument. It's a plausible, title to have. Very. I mean, everything he's done, of course. But all of his contributions and longevity and outside the ring stuff and Make-A-Wish, that's all wonderful. It really is. I'm not making fun of that at all. It's impressive as hell. But my complaint is WWE just taking what fans debate about and apparently putting it to rest by telling us he's the greatest of all time. If they added 2 words to that, coming to the ring from West Newbury, Massachusetts, one of the greatest of all time, John C. Like, fine. One of is much more of a strong, acceptable phrasing than I think declaratively, decisively, case closed, he is the greatest of all time. Really? I think Taker would have something to say about that. I think Hogan can make a case for it. I think Andre the Giant can make a case for that. I think Stone Cold, I think The Rock. Yeah. Just a few guys. Flair. Okay. All right. All right. Raw was really good. The 3 hours just flew by. I'm glad my girl Zoe Stark is getting a push. She deserves it. And The Miz getting a great reaction was positive, especially those loud boos when Ivar attacked him after the match, which I have a question. You say that it may have been a mistake to do the double pin count, but when Ivar attacked The Miz, was that scripted or you think impromptu to cover up the faulty finish? That's all for now. Stay Usi. I don't think that was a cover. I think that even if the kick out of Ricochet was a mistake, and I do think it was, they were going to do the match between Miz and Ivar next week anyway, and they were going to have Ivar attack The Miz anyway. So it still fits with what happened versus what they wanted to happen. And I think the attack wasn't planned, or rather was, no matter what happened there. But I do agree that the boos for Ivar and the cheering for The Miz, sympathy for The Miz, it's been successful. So thanks, David. All right, let's keep going here. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. Let's talk to Spencer. He says, what's going on, WWE Podcast? Spencer back at it again. And with all the shenanigans that keep happening to Damian Priest's Money in the Bank, at the time of writing this email, would it be a good idea, in your opinion, for him to just keep the actual contract folded up in his back pocket, just in case we have another incident where the case gets stolen again? The thief can take off, but Damian says Damian stays put and hands over the contract to the referee. I don't think the contract states the briefcase needs to be relinquished in order to cash in. Would like to know your thoughts. So, to me, there shouldn't even be a physical item that needs to be exchanged. Because that would mean that someone could steal your Money in the Bank contract or briefcase that it's contained in, and then that means you're no longer Mr. Money in the Bank because you can't cash in. Possession shouldn't be the qualifier for being able to cash in. You should just be Mr. Money in the Bank, and you get on the mic and say, I want my match right now. But that's not as fun as a visual as carrying it around, handing the briefcase to the referee, and they ring the bell. Yeah, and also they can use the briefcase as a weapon. So him putting the contract in his back pocket, he could do that. But the Money in the Bank briefcase, the physical briefcase, has become such an iconic part of the cash-in. It's part of the process, even if it doesn't make any logistical sense that you have to carry it around. When you think about that, like, why? But I don't know. I think that they'll keep the method the way it is. All right. This is Shahar from Israel, I think. Let's see what Shahar says. Yeah, I think he is. So hope everything's well. In Israel, it's the same. Lucky I live in the north, so it's a bit quiet up here so far. Well, yeah, it seems like northern Israel is, and that's where I believe Sharon is as well. So Shahar, you stay safe as well, man. I mean, yeah, I had to say, just side note, sometimes I'll dive deep into like what is going on, and I've seen videos that I never want to see again, and heard stories I never want to hear again. And I won't bring them to light on this podcast because that's not what it's about. You guys can go look for yourselves for the things that are going on in Israel, but I would warn you that you can't unsee them. It's not like you can have the Men in Black eraser and just flash your memory and it's gone. It's just the worst thing you could imagine is happening, obviously down in Gaza and what happened on October 7th. Oh, anyway, moving on. All right, and you said, just wanted to tell you that with all the situation going on here, I decided that life is short. You can never know what tomorrow will bring. So I just bought my combo 2-day tickets to WrestleMania 40. That's awesome. Super excited. Can't believe I'll get to sit there with my Becky Lynch, the Man t-shirt. Yeah, she's my favorite. I hope I get to see her against Rhea. Well, I hope you do too. And that seems to be where they're actually headed, if not Bianca versus Rhea. If you remember, the Monday Night Raw after this year's WrestleMania, Bianca and Rhea, who were champions Bianca was champion at the time, Rhea still is, they had a face-off, teasing what's to come. And I think they could go Bianca versus Rhea at WrestleMania, or Jade Cargill, or whoever. But I think Bianca Belair may have something to say about that. I understand that Bianca Belair is on SmackDown, Rhea's on Raw, but that never stopped WWE from just completely throwing out their brand rules, right? But I'm jealous. That's awesome. YOLO, right? You only live once, and I hope you enjoy WrestleMania. And very cool. Also, my aunt lives in Knoxville, so I'm going to visit her. At least I have something to look forward to during the hard times. Can't wait to tell you all about it after. Yeah, I'm very interested, Shahar. Obviously it's what, November 8th, whatever the hell it is right now. And WrestleMania is 5 months away. So I probably won't remember this email, reading this email 5 months from now, but just be like, hey, I messaged you and let you know I was going to WrestleMania. Here's my thoughts on it. I'll be very interested to hear that. Or call in, leave a voicemail too. You don't have to wait till WrestleMania to do that, but specifically since you're going to WrestleMania 40, very interested to hear your thoughts. I've been thinking about going myself, I have to say. There's been times I'm like, Philadelphia is not that far from New York. And I'm not in New York City, I'm in upstate New York. But I'm like, there's been times I've really considered it, I have to say. But it's expensive. Philadelphia is not a cheap city. Tickets aren't cheap. That's 2 nights in a hotel, 2 nights at WrestleMania, food, entertainment, that kind of thing. It's going to be upwards for most people of $1,000. I mean, it's not going to be cheap. But I'm really looking forward to it. And if you're going to Knoxville, you might want to say hey to the mayor over there of Knox County. You know who that is, the Big Red Machine. So just careful. If he gets in a mood, you might be looking at a chokeslam. So, all right, Shahar, thank you, and stay safe. Okay. Let's close it up with a couple more, and that'll be it for this version anyway. This is from Leon, and he says, hi, Matt and the listeners. I have a really worrying thought on the card for Crown Jewel. It's been reported that WWE were paid over $50 million for the event, which is the equivalent of 3 WrestleManias of tickets. This has got me thinking about LA Knight's sudden thrust, Cody's random match with Priest, Cena's return, and possibly even Logan Paul's win. Are the Saudis paying for the specific matches that they want and not the current trajectory of stories that should have led to Crown Jewel? If so, it's screwed LA Knight's direction of a big travel time, big time, and for what? Dollars, that's what. It's a slap in the face for us to watch it week in and week out, and we want to see stories develop naturally. Just a thought. I mean, think about what they did with, they had the greatest Royal Rumble. Remember that? The only good thing about the greatest Royal Rumble was Titus World Slide. If you don't know what I'm talking about, for the love of God, Google it or YouTube it. We also had Shawn Michaels come out of retirement and get a $3 million payday in what was one of the worst matches you'll ever see, and also contained 4 of the biggest names in the wrestling business ever in Triple H and Shawn Michaels versus Undertaker and Kane, DX versus the Brothers of Destruction. That was hilarious but also awful. And you look at Goldberg versus The Undertaker, where Goldberg nearly actually killed The Undertaker. You do wonder, and I do think that with all the money on the line here, that they are probably discussing before every event, several weeks or months anyway, the matches they'd like to see. I'm sure they have a little bit of a way in there. There's a lot of money. As you said, money talks big time. And there's a boatload of money in this for WWE. Boatload. Finally, maybe we should all make a stand and turn off PLEs when Roman comes on, as we've already seen the matches countless times. I love Roman, but the matches are taking the you-know-what now. Yeah, I mean, thanks, guys. Well, thanks, Leon. Yeah, it's so formulaic. And that's not to say Roman's bad. See, don't get me wrong. I should probably have clarified this. Roman Reigns in the ring is still very good. His character, he's found himself, they're all very good. They just are. Compared to the big dog, remember the big dog? Oh, we do. And this is infinitely better. Roman in the ring is a ring general at this point. He's safe. He's got his timing down. He still looks really good. He's saving his, he doesn't have a ton of mileage on his body. He's pacing his body to the point where he can have a longer career by taking many, many, many thousands of less bumps. Because he doesn't need to at this point. So, all right. Or let's go. Do we have two more? All right, 2 more and we're done. Mason, he says, let me talk to you. War Games again. I think you hit on a good idea making it elimination, and it might be better because it's not for brand supremacy, but I still hate it. Yeah, it's the visual's cool, but I'm not a fan of the execution. I just don't like it. It's not my thing. Especially the rules when, no, the match doesn't start till the bell rings and everyone's in the ring. Okay, so just get everyone in the ring and start the match. Second, The Miz is really Gunther's opponent. For me, The Miz lives below Akira Tozawa, who I think is going back to NXT after stealing Nathan Frazier's Heritage Cup during Halloween Havoc. That's all today I have. I wouldn't put The Miz below Akira Tozawa, but The Miz at times has been embarrassed by celebrities like a 55-year-old Snoop Dogg laying him out at WrestleMania and hitting a people's elbow on him. The Miz has had some embarrassing moments with celebrities. He has lost nearly every program he's been in the last several years. But The Miz is infinitely better on the microphone than Akira Tozawa. The Miz has infinitely more name brand value than does Akira Tozawa. And The Miz has been in WWE a lot longer than Akira Tozawa. This is if you're doing a side-by-side comparison of Akira Tozawa and The Miz. But The Miz, they've done a so far successful job of transitioning him to a babyface, creating sympathy on him with the beatdowns, and he can still put on good matches. And Gunther is excellent in the ring. The Miz will be a severe underdog, which will create more sympathy and try to get the crowd behind him a little more. But there's no chance of The Miz beating Gunther, of course. So we know that. All right. Final email for tonight. And guys, if you didn't get to your voice, well, I didn't get to anybody's voicemail. The next part of this will be voicemails, and that'll come Sunday. All right. I was seeing if I could read things quickly and talk fast that I could get through it and get voicemails in, but there's just so much to get through. I was only able to cram in the emails, and honestly, I'm over my time for the emails. So the Sunday weekend review will contain all of the voicemails that you want to hear, in addition to reviewing everything for the week. All right, Nick says, so what do you want to talk about? All right, delete. Much like yourself, I can't help but make fun of something that bugs someone by doing it. And as a Cody fan, I thought this would be the perfect opportunity. First time emailing, been watching WWE since here and there since I was a kid. First match I recall was Cody's first match against Randy when Dusty got punt kicked. Oh yeah, I remember that. But I've been watching constantly since WrestleMania. I'd like to talk about Nikki Cross. There's rumors that Bo Dallas would come back to finish what his brother Bray started, and maybe that's what Nikki is doing and leaning towards that. Would like to hear what you have to say. heck of a theory, Nick, and I'm glad you brought this up to finish things out here. I've said, and I continue to say, I bet you they don't even know what this is about. That's the odds that I have here. But if they are going to do something, they could continue a Bray Wyatt story, obviously without Bray, maybe by having Uncle Howdy, and that be revealed to be Bo Dallas, who will have a lot of momentum behind him and a lot of sympathy behind him and a lot of cheers behind him because of his brother. We know that. So Bo Dallas right now, I mean, he'll have more momentum behind him than any time in his career. And having him be revealed as Uncle Howdy that many people suspected to begin with would be, or if it's just Bo Dallas himself and Uncle Howdy's not there, either way, that very well could be it. Now, why was Nikki Cross chosen? I don't know. Who knows? But it's already more interesting than anything Nikki's done in the last 2 years. So I like that. That's a theory that is, to me, the most plausible outside of the one that I said, which is they don't know. But thank you, Nick. All right. Whew. That was a long one, guys, but thank you. Thank you to all the patrons, all the emailers, of course, the callers. I can't say I thank you yet because that will come, as I said, on Sunday. So stay tuned for that. And if you want to go ad-free and get your email towards the front of the show like you heard all the patrons, patreon.com/WWE podcast is the place to go. And you can also head on over to Apple Podcasts and hit that ad-free button, which will give you an ad-free experience, and go to wwepodcast.com. That's also another place you can go to. So, alrighty, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll be back. Actually, I might be back Friday with a surprise guest. And until then, guys, take care. I'll talk to you next time.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to wwepodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.